Galactic Military Academy was built to break the weak. It floated above a red dwarf star, a massive steel ring filled with training grounds, battle arenas, and barracks of the strongest species in the known galaxy. Only the best warriors were allowed inside, or so everyone believed. Every morning, cadets gathered in Formation Hall. Massive reptilian soldiers stood beside armored insectoids and towering mammalian brutes. Their voices were loud. Their laughter was cruel. Strength was shown openly here. Among them stood one small figure, Cadet Lyra Hale. She was human. She wore the same dark combat uniform as the others, but it looked heavier on her frame. Her posture was straight, her hands always behind her back, her eyes forward. She never spoke unless ordered. She never reacted. That silence made her a target. "Hey! Quiet one," a scale cadet hissed from behind her. "Did your species forget how to talk?" Laughter spread through the formation. Lyra did not turn her head. Another voice joined in. "Humans are only here because the Council feels sorry for them." More laughter. Louder this time. Lyra remained still. Her breathing was slow, controlled. The instructor, a massive apex warrior named Commander Vrax, watched from the platform. He heard everything. He said nothing. The academy did not protect the weak. Training began with combat drills. Pairs were assigned. Lyra was always placed against stronger opponents, faster ones with claws and reinforced bones. Today was no different. Her opponent was Krell, an apex cadet nearly twice her size. His armor was heavy. His grin was cruel. "Try not to break, little human," Krell said as a training barrier activated. The signal sounded. Krell attacked instantly. No warning. His fist slammed toward her head. Lyra moved just enough to avoid it. The crowd watching from the stands groaned. "She's just running again. She never fights back." Krell kept coming. Punches. Kicks. Each one meant to hurt. One strike caught her shoulder, sending pain through her arm. Lyra did not cry out. She kept moving, dodging, enduring. The instructor allowed it to continue longer than regulation time. No one stopped the match. When it finally ended, Lyra stood bruised and bleeding. Krell barely looked tired. "Match over," Commander Vrax announced. The Apex cadets laughed as Lyra walked away. Later, in the medical bay, an automated drone sealed her wounds. The pain was sharp, but she did not react. Pain was familiar. That night, Lyra sat alone in her quarters. The room was small, clean, silent. She stared at the wall. Memories tried to surface. She pushed them down. She had been trained to do that. The next day, an announcement spread across the academy. A special combat evaluation. All cadets gathered in the main arena. The stands were full. Even instructors from other sectors came to watch. Commander Vrax's voice echoed through the arena. "Today we test true combat ability." Names were called. Cheers followed each one. Then, Cadet Lyra Hale. Laughter erupted. Vrax continued. "You will face an Apex squad. 5 opponents." The arena exploded with noise. 5 against 1 was not training. It was punishment. Lyra stepped forward. Her heart rate increased slightly. She felt it, measured it, controlled it. She entered the arena alone. Across from her, 5 Apex warriors activated their weapons. They looked excited. "This will be quick," one of them said. The energy barriers sealed shut. The lights dimmed. The crowd leaned forward. Lyra stood still in the center of the arena. Her hands were open, empty. Inside her mind, a locked door began to shake. A voice echoed faintly. "Observe. Endure. Do not engage unless survival demands it." She had followed that rule for years. The signal light flashed yellow. The Apex squad began to spread out, circling her like predators. The crowd laughed again. The signal turned green. They attacked. Lyra moved. Not fast. Not yet. She dodged the first strike. Then the second. Energy blades passed inches from her skin. A blast clipped her leg, burning through fabric. Pain surged. Her vision narrowed. The locked door inside her mind cracked. The Apex warriors closed in. And for the first time since arriving at the academy, Lyra Hale lifted her eyes and looked directly at her enemies. Something changed. The laughter in the stands began to fade, because the silence around a human cadet no longer felt weak. It felt dangerous. The first attack came from the left. An apex warrior leaped forward, claws glowing with blue energy, aiming straight for Lyra Hale's throat. The crowd expected her to fall back again, to run, to survive without fighting. She did not. Lyra stepped inside the attack range. The apex warrior hesitated for half a second, confused by her calm movement. That moment was enough. Lyra twisted her body and struck his wrist with the edge of her hand. There was a sharp crack. The warrior screamed as his weapon dropped to the arena floor. The sound echoed. The crowd fell silent. Lyra did not pause. She grabbed the stunned apex by the armor and used his weight against him, slamming him hard onto the ground. The impact shook the arena floor. One apex warrior down. The others froze. "That was luck," someone in the stands muttered. Commander Vrax leaned forward in his seat. His eyes narrowed. Lyra stood over the fallen warrior, breathing slow and steady. Her face showed no anger, no joy, only focus. The second apex attacked from behind, firing an energy blast. It struck Lyra's side, throwing her several meters across the arena. She rolled, hit the ground, and slid to stop. Pain burned through her ribs. The crowd roared again, relieved. "There it is. She can't take that." Lyra pushed herself up on one knee. Blood dripped from her mouth. Inside her mind, the locked door shook harder. Threat level rising. Multiple hostile targets. Survival probability dropping. She wiped the blood away with the back of her hand and stood. The Apex squad regrouped. They spread out, weapons raised, confidence slowly returning. "Stay together," one of them said. "She's just fast." They attacked at the same time. Lyra moved, this time faster. She ducked under a blade, rolled forward, and kicked an Apex warrior's knee backward. The joint bent the wrong way. He fell with a scream. Before another could react, Lyra grabbed his arm, twisted and slammed her elbow into his chest. His armor cracked. He collapsed, gasping for air. Two more down. The arena was completely silent now. No laughter. No cheering. Only the sound of heavy breathing and broken armor. The remaining Apex warriors stepped back. Their eyes showed something new. Fear. "This is wrong," one of them whispered. "She's human." Lyra heard him. She stepped forward slowly. "You were laughing," she said calmly. Her voice was quiet, controlled, but it carried across the arena. The word sent a chill through the crowd. The Apex warriors roared and charged, desperate to end it. Lyra closed her eyes for a brief moment. The door inside her mind finally broke open. Training flooded her body. Not academy drills. Not sport combat. Real war. She moved like a shadow. Efficient. Precise. Every motion had purpose. She avoided wide strikes and aimed for weak points, joints, power cores, balance centers. One apex swung wildly. Lyra stepped inside his reach and drove her fist into the gap under his helmet. He dropped instantly. The last apex fired everything he had. The arena lights flickered as energy blasts scorched the floor. Lyra ran straight through the fire. She grabbed his weapon, ripped it free, and smashed it into his chest plate. The force sent him flying into the arena wall. He slid down and did not move. Silence. The match timer was still running. Medical alarms began to sound, but no one moved. Lyra stood alone in the center of the arena. Her chest rose and fell. Her hands trembled slightly. Not from fear. From control. Commander Vrax slowly stood. "End the match," he ordered. The barrier dropped. Medical teams rushed in to treat the fallen Apex warriors. None of them were dead, but all were badly broken. Lyra remained where she was. Instructors surrounded her, their expressions unreadable. "What are you?" one whispered. Lyra looked at him. "Human," she replied. That word spread to the crowd like fire. Human, not weak, not loud, not careless. The cadets watched her with new eyes as she walked out of the arena. No one laughed. No one spoke. In her quarters later that night, Lyra sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her hands. They were steady again. The door inside her mind was open now, and she knew something she could never forget. The Academy had pushed her too far, and the galaxy was about to learn why humans chose silence. Not because they were weak, but because what followed was far worse. The Galactic Military Academy did not sleep that night. Whispers moved through corridors. Messages passed between instructors. Security patrols doubled. Medical bays remained active as Apex warriors lay broken, their pride damaged more than their bodies. One name spread faster than all others. Lyra Hale. Some said it was a mistake. Some said the match was rigged. Others claimed humans had hidden weapons inside their bodies. But the video recording showed the truth. Lyra used nothing except her hands, her mind, and her control. Commander Vrax stood alone in the observation chamber, watching the footage again. He slowed it, replayed it, frame by frame. Every move was perfect, not wild, not emotional, efficient. This is not academy training, he muttered. This is battlefield doctrine. For the first time in his long career, the Apex commander felt unease. Lyra was summoned the next morning. 2 armed guards escorted her through the hallways. Cadet stepped aside as she passed. No insults, no laughter, only silence. Inside the evaluation chamber, a circle of senior instructors waited. Different species, different combat philosophies, all watching her closely. Cadet Hale, Vrax began, why did you hold back during earlier training? Lyra stood straight. You did not ask me to fight, she replied. The room went quiet. You allowed yourself to be injured, another instructor said. Why? Lyra thought for a moment. Because the mission was observation, she answered, not victory. The instructors exchanged glances. What mission? One demanded. Lyra did not answer. Commander Vrax raised a hand. Enough. He studied her. You are human military. Yes, Lyra said. Active soldier? He asked. Not here, she replied. Cadet status only. The words sounded simple, honest, but they scared them. Vrax dismissed the others and ordered Lyra back to her quarters. As she turned to leave, he spoke again. You will participate in advanced combat exercises starting today. Lyra paused. Yes, Commander. Outside the chamber, the Academy buzzed with tension. The Apex warriors were angry. Their best had been defeated by a silent human. Their pride demanded correction. Later that day, a new exercise was announced. Apex Elite versus Mixed Species Squad. Lyra was assigned as squad leader. The announcement shocked everyone. An Apex cadet snarled. She doesn't even speak. Lyra stood at the front of her squad, listening to the protests. She spoke once. Follow me, or fail. Something in her tone ended the argument. The exercise took place in the lower combat zone, a maze of metal walls, smoke, and live fire simulations. This was no sport arena. This was war training. The Apex Elite attacked first, using overwhelming force. Lyra signaled her team with hand gestures only. Short, clear, they moved like a single unit. Every trap the Apex set failed. Every ambush was countered. Lyra predicted their movements, cut off their escape routes, forced them into narrow corridors where size meant nothing. One Apex leader charged her directly. You think one victory makes you strong, he roared. Lyra did not slow. She stepped aside and used his own weight to throw him into a wall. His armor cracked. He did not rise. The exercise ended early. The instructor stared at the tactical map in disbelief. The Apex Elite had been defeated in less than 10 minutes by a squad led by a human who barely spoke. After the exercise, the Apex cadets gathered in private. Their anger turned into something darker. She humiliated us. One growled. We cannot allow this. Plans were made. That night, the lights in Lyra's corridor went out. Emergency power failed. Footsteps echoed. Lyra woke instantly. She sat up calm. The door to her quarters slid open. 3 Apex warriors stepped inside, weapons active. This isn't training, one said. No instructors. No rules. Lyra stood slowly. I know, she replied. They attacked together. The room was small, tight, perfect. Lyra moved first. She disarmed one, broke another's arm, and used the third as a shield against incoming fire. The fight was short, brutal, silent. When security arrived, 3 Apex warriors lay unconscious on the floor. Lyra stood unharmed. Commander Vrax arrived moments later. He looked at the scene and understood everything. You warned us, he said quietly. I followed orders, Lyra replied. Vrax turned to the guards. Arrest them. As Lyra was escorted away, cadets watched from the shadows. Fear replaced hatred, because now they knew. The silent cadet did not fight for pride. She fought only when forced. And when she did, rules no longer mattered. The Galactic Military Academy was no longer just a school. It had become a pressure chamber. After the night attack on Lyra Hale, security protocols changed. Armed patrols filled the halls. Surveillance drones hovered at every corner. Official reports called the incident a discipline failure. Everyone knew the truth. The Apex warriors had tried to erase their shame, and they had failed. Lyra was placed under temporary observation. Not punishment, not protection. Watching. Commander Vrax met with Galactic Council representatives through secure channels. Their faces appeared as glowing figures in the chamber. A human cadet has disrupted balance, one counselor said. This is unacceptable. Vrax kept his voice steady. The imbalance existed before she arrived. We simply ignored it. The apex of the foundation of our military doctrine, another argued. One human cannot. One human already did, Vrax interrupted. Silence followed. Lyra spent the next days training alone. No partners. No squad. Just endless simulations. Urban war. Zero gravity. Hostile boarding actions. She completed every scenario faster than predicted. Always silent. Always controlled. The instructors stopped underestimating her. Now they feared what she represented. Across the academy, Apex cadets gathered in secret. Pride burned hotter than reason. She made us look weak, one snarled. The council watches us, another said. If humans replace us, our species loses everything. They decided to act, not as students, but as Apex. The next exercise was meant to be routine, a live-fire evacuation drill, multiple teams, low-level weapons, heavy supervision. Lyra was assigned as a rear guard escort. The drill began smoothly. Then the doors sealed shut. Emergency lights flashed red. System error. The automated voice announced. Live-fire mode engaged. Lyra knew immediately. This was no accident. Apex strike teams emerged from maintenance corridors, armed with real weapons, not training gear. The instructors tried to override the system. They failed. Panic spread among the cadets. Lyra moved. She pushed civilians, non-combat cadets, towards safety routes, issuing sharp commands. Move. Now. Don't stop. They obeyed without question. Gunfire echoed. An Apex squad blocked the main exit. You should have stayed quiet, human, their leader said. Lyra stepped forward alone. You broke protocol, she replied. You broke the law. We make the law, he said. They opened fire. Lyra sprinted straight into the storm. She used walls, smoke, and timing. She disarmed one Apex and turned his weapon against the others. Shots were precise. Non-lethal when possible, but survival came first. 2 Apex fell. The rest retreated. Lyra escorted the last cadets to safety, then turned back into the chaos. Commander Vrax watched the feeds, his face dark. She's clearing the academy, an officer whispered. She's preventing a massacre, Vrax replied. The Apex attackers realized too late that they had lost control. Their attack revealed everything. Lyra cornered the final group near the reactor access. You're trapped, their leader growled. Yes, Lyra said. You are. The fight was fast and brutal. The Apex were strong, but they lacked discipline. Rage clouded their judgment. Lyra used that. When the last Apex fell, The alarms finally stopped. Silence returned. Medical teams rushed in. Instructors secured the area. Lyra stood near the reactor door, her uniform torn, her face marked with soot and blood. She was breathing hard, but her eyes were calm. Commander Vrax approached slowly. "You saved the Academy," he said. Lyra shook her head. "I stopped it from burning," she replied. "Saving comes later." The Galactic Council arrived in full force within hours. They reviewed footage, listened to reports, counted the injured. The conclusion was unavoidable. The Apex had attempted a coup, and a single human cadet had stopped it. The Council issued an emergency declaration. Human combat doctrine classified as Tier 1 threat and asset. Lyra was summoned one last time. Cadet Hale, a counselor, said, "What does humanity want?" Lyra met their gaze. "To be left alone," she answered. "And if that is denied," another asked. Lyra paused. Then we stopped being quiet. No one argued. As Lyra walked back through the Academy halls, cadets stood at attention, not out of fear, out of respect, because the line had been crossed, and humanity had responded. The attack on Lyra Hale was meant to be quiet. It failed. By morning, the entire Galactic Military Academy knew what had happened. 3 Apex cadets had broken into a human cadet's quarters. They had used live weapons. They had ignored Academy law. And they had lost. Again, the news did not spread as laughter this time. It spread as fear. The Apex warriors were furious. Not only had they been defeated in the arena, but now their kind stood accused of cowardly assault. To them, honor had been stolen twice. To the instructors, something far worse had happened. Control was slipping. Commander Vrax stood before the High Discipline Council, his massive arms crossed behind his back. Around him sat representatives of 12 dominant species. Their faces were hard, suspicious. "The human cadet is destabilizing the Academy," one council member said sharply. "Her presence is provoking violence." Vrax did not answer immediately. "She did not start the violence," he said finally. "She ended it." That answer caused unrest. "Humans are not Apex," another council member growled. "They should not outperform us." Vrax's eyes narrowed. Performance is not a crime. The council ordered solution, not punishment. A test. They would push Lyra further. Under controlled conditions. If she failed, the problem would end. If she succeeded, then humanity would no longer be ignored. Lyra was informed later that day. She listened in silence as Commander Vrax explained. "A final evaluation," he said. "Live-fire combat. Full Apex strike unit. No restraints." This was not an Academy test. This was a message. Lyra met his gaze. "Am I allowed to survive?" A pause. "Yes," Vrax said, "but only if you can." The evaluation zone was not an arena this time. It was an abandoned station module attached to the Academy. Dark corridors, broken lights, real gravity, no safety barriers. Observers watched through drones only. No one cheered. No one laughed. The Apex strike unit entered first. 10 warriors. Heavy armor. Military-grade weapons. They moved with discipline now, not arrogance. They had learned. Lyra entered alone. Her boots echoed softly against metal floors. The air was cold. Still, she breathed in slowly. This was closer to home. Inside her mind, memories rose freely now. Cities in ruin. Human soldiers fighting enemies that believed size meant victory. They had been wrong before. The first explosion rocked the corridor. Lyra was already moving. She rolled behind cover as energy fire tore through the space she had occupied seconds earlier. The Apex unit advanced carefully, clearing corners, sealing exits. They were hunting her. Lyra moved upward, climbing maintenance shafts, using shadows and silence. She disabled lights, cut power to sections of the station. The Apex warriors grew tense. "She's controlling the space," one muttered over comms. They split into teams. That was a mistake. Lyra struck fast. She dropped from above, knocking one warrior unconscious before he could react. She vanished before the others arrived. A second fell to a pressure trap. A third to a broken stairway in gravity. No wasted motion. No noise. The apex unit slowed. Fear crept into their voices. "This is not combat," one said. "This is a hunt." "Yes," another replied. "And we are not the hunters." They tried to regroup. Lyra allowed it, then collapsed the corridor between them with a controlled explosion. 5 remained. They backed into a defensive position, weapons raised in all directions. Lyra stepped into the light. Visible. Calm. "You don't have to do this," one apex said, breathing hard. Lyra tilted her head slightly. "You already did." They opened fire. She ran straight at them. The world narrowed into motion and sound. She used debris as shields, momentum as force. She disarmed one, broke another's leg, and slammed a third into a wall hard enough to crack armor. The last 2 retreated. Lyra stopped. "Enough," she said. One apex dropped his weapon. The other hesitated, then charged in desperation. Lyra ended the fight with a single strike. Silence returned to the station. The drones recorded everything. When Lyra exited the evaluation zone, instructors stood frozen. No one spoke for several seconds. Commander Vrax finally bowed his head. The council reviewed the footage within hours. Their conclusion was not spoken aloud, but it was understood. Humans were not weak. They were restrained. A message was sent beyond the academy, beyond the system, beyond Apex-controlled space. Human combat capability reassessed. Threat level upgraded. Lyra returned to her quarters that night. For the first time since arriving, the hallway light stayed on. No footsteps followed her. No whispers chased her back. She sat on her bed and stared at the wall. The silence felt different now. Heavier, because she knew this was no longer about her. The Academy had tested a human, and the galaxy had seen the result. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from dozens of species sat in their assigned seats, watching the massive hologram floating in the center of the room. The image showed the Galactic Military Academy from orbit, its defense systems active, its status flashing red. Emergency session. At the center of the chamber stood one human, Lyra Hale. She wore no armor, no weapons, only a simple human uniform. Her hands were clasped behind her back. Her posture was calm. The counselors whispered among themselves. "This is a cadet? She caused all this? She looks ordinary." The Apex representative slammed his clawed hand on the table. "This human is a threat," he roared. "She crippled our warriors, humiliated our elite, and exposed our weaknesses. Humanity must be restrained." Lyra did not react. Commander Vrax stood beside her. His voice was steady, but heavy. She defended herself. Every action was in response to aggression. The Academy failed to control its own cadets. The Apex snarled. "Lies! Humans are deceivers. This one is clearly a weapon." Lyra finally spoke. "If I were a weapon," she said calmly, "this room would already be empty." The chamber froze. No threat in her voice. No anger. Just fact. The human ambassador rose slowly from his seat. "For centuries," he said, "you believe humans were weak because we were quiet, because we did not boast, because we did not dominate." He looked around the chamber. "Lyra Hale is not special. She is disciplined." The council grew uneasy. The Apex representative leaned forward. "Then explain this," he said, activating another hologram. The image showed classified files, human military programs, training footage, battlefield simulations, soldiers moving in silence, enemies falling without warning, wars ending before they were announced. Gasps filled the chamber. The human ambassador nodded. "We learned long ago that loud strength invites challenge. Silence ends conflict." The council tried to regain control. "What does humanity want?" One counselor asked nervously. The human ambassador looked at Lyra. She stepped forward. "We want peace," she said. "But peace only lasts when fear is unnecessary." The Apex representative laughed bitterly. "And if we refuse?" Lyra met his eyes. "Then we stop being silent." The words hit harder than any threat. After hours of debate, the council reached a decision. The apex species would be sanctioned. The academy would be restructured. Humans would be recognized as a Tier 1 combat species. The galaxy had no choice. As the session ended, Lyra walked alone through the council hall. No guards. No chains. She was not a prisoner. She was a warning. Back at the academy, changes happened fast. Apex instructors were removed. New rules were enforced. Bullying became a crime, not a tradition. Cadets looked at humans differently now, not with laughter. With caution, Lyra returned to training, but her role changed. She was no longer tested. She was observed. Young cadets, alien and human, watched her movements, her calm, her silence. One small cadet asked her once, "Why don't you speak more?" Lyra knelt to his level. "Because words are easy," she said. "Control is hard." Time passed. The galaxy adjusted. Borders grew quieter. Wars became shorter. No one wanted to provoke humanity. Stories spread, some true, some exaggerated. They said humans could end wars without firing shots. They said human soldiers felt no fear. They said silence followed them like a shadow. Lyra graduated from the academy quietly. No ceremony. No applause. She boarded a human vessel waiting beyond the station. Commander Vrax met her at the hangar. "I misjudged you," he said. Lyra shook her head. "You misjudged silence." As the ship departed, Vrax watched it disappear into hyperspace. For the first time, the Apex commander understood. The most dangerous beings in the galaxy were not the loudest, not the largest, not the most aggressive. They were the ones who waited, far beyond the academy. Human fleets moved through the stars, not in conquest, in readiness. And across the galaxy, whenever a species laughed at a quiet human, someone would whisper the story of the silent cadet, the one who endured mockery, the one who snapped only once, the one who wiped out every Apex warrior who tested her, and after that, the laughter never returned.